Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for today's presentation for our online graduate cybersecurity programs. Today, we're looking forward to introducing 3 current students in the program who can tell you a little bit more about the program from the student perspective. We have a full presentation today, so we're going to go ahead and get started right away. Before we jump in, here's a few quick housekeeping items for you. We are recording this event for future viewing, so you can always come back and watch it again. During this presentation, you are on mute, so you can hear us, but we can't hear you. So if you do have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to type them in the Q&A box at any time during the presentation. And then on to our next slide is our agenda. So for today, we'll plan to talk a little bit about St. Bonaventure University, and we'll provide an overview of the cybersecurity graduate programs. But we'll spend the bulk of our time in the student panel discussion, and then we'll wrap up with some admissions information, and finally leave room for Q&A at the end. So our speakers for today, I'm Katie Macaluso, and I'm your moderator. I'm joined by Marcos Baez and Elizabeth Camino, the admissions counselors for the cybersecurity programs. And then joining us today is Hossein Sarrafzadeh, the program director for the graduate cybersecurity programs. Under his leadership, the online master's degree in cybersecurity has grown to be recognized as the 11th best online master's degree in cybersecurity in the country. Hossein brings a wealth of program, especially in cybersecurity, intelligent systems, the Internet of Things, and cloud security, and he has published extensively, as well as patented several systems. He also launched the first cybersecurity program in his home country of New Zealand back in 2009. We're also delighted to have Pouya Ghotbi, a faculty member and native of Australia, with us today to moderate our student panel discussion in just a little bit. After 2 decades in information technology, Pouya's specialties include software, cloud, and network security. In addition to teaching, he continues to maintain on-the-ground experience working as a solutions engineer for CyberArk, a leader in the privileged access management industry. And as part of the cybersecurity faculty here at St. Bonaventure, he designed and now teaches a course about secure software design. So moving on to, before we go ahead and share more about St. Bonaventure, we were hoping to learn a little bit about you. So here on the screen, we have a quick poll for you. We're asking which area of cybersecurity interests you most. So if you could just take a quick second to answer that. We've got offensive security, defensive security, enterprise security, ethical hacking, machine learning for cybersecurity, and data mining for cybersecurity. So I'm starting to see some responses coming in. We'll give you just a few more seconds to complete that. And if you're just joining now, we have a poll we've just wrapped up. So we asked which area of cybersecurity interests you most. Actually, it's right now looking very split evenly. So we had, I'm just gonna fast forward here, we had interest across pretty much all of the areas that we had listed. So that's very interesting. It's just helpful for us to kind of have an idea of where these interests lie, both when we're speaking with you, and then also we'll keep this in mind for future webinar topics too. All right. So with that, I'm going to move this over to the Why St. Bonaventure slide and pass it over to Hossein to tell you more about the school.
Thank you, Katie, and thank you everyone for attending this webinar. A warm welcome to you and our speakers. Why should you come to St. Bonaventure University aside from your interest in cybersecurity? We rank #2 in the North for best value schools by US News and World Report. The program is 100% online, although we've got on-campus facilities, including a HoneyNet, a security operations center, which is accessible to students, and various labs. We've also got cloud-based labs, which we use for our master's program. Our faculty is, I think, the strongest point of our master's program and the university. The university brings the best of the best, especially in the online programs. The faculty involved in teaching this program are the best in the world, I believe, and they come from all over the globe. And that's the beauty of online learning. And the youngest of these people has not only a PhD in cybersecurity, but also numerous certifications like the other ones, and has been in the industry for a long time. He got his first industry certification when he was 15 years old. And our faculty, I'm really proud of them, and they do a fantastic job of helping our students. We value industry certificates alongside what we teach you online. We encourage you to do industry certification. And to facilitate that, we have partnerships with EC Council. We are a Cisco Academy, and we recently became a Palo Alto Academy. So all the resources they provide will be at your fingertip, and you can do their certificates. Our relationship with the Western New York Cybersecurity Research Center is another strength of the program. The Cybersecurity Research Center is actually based on campus, and it was an investment just in software of over $500,000. And it provides data for our faculty to do their research. And I'm very proud of the program, and I'm very glad that some of our students have agreed to talk to you about their experience. Now, our graduate online cybersecurity program includes two programs, a master's degree and a certificate degree. Well, the master's degree started first, and our aim was to offer a highly technical program. And the program includes teaching in offensive security, defensive security, enterprise security, as well as machine learning and data mining. We also teach areas like cyber cryptography, risk management, and those other areas that we feel are necessary for someone in a master's program in cybersecurity. The aim of the program is to produce graduates that can take leadership positions in cybersecurity or technical positions nationally and internationally. Now, we were getting a lot of applicants in our cybersecurity master's program who didn't have the appropriate background. They had degrees in, say, sociology and years of experience in the FBI or in the police force, or one way or another exposure to the technology. And we decided that certification, if a student had an undergraduate degree, enough certifications to convince us that they had the background to get into the master's program, we would accept them in there. And we did. We still had a large population who couldn't get into the program because they didn't have those certificates and the experience. We decided to create a certificate program, a graduate certificate program that prepared people for the master's program. The graduate certificate program includes courses like programming. Programming is an area that is needed in our master's program. We assume that you already know programming. Networking, computer networks is another area that we would like our students to be proficient in. So the certificate course is a 15-credit course that teaches you the basics of computers and the cyber world, introduction to programming, introduction to databases, computer networks, foundations of cybersecurity, ethical hacking, and penetration testing. So this certificate could prepare you for some not so high-level jobs in cybersecurity, and it could qualify you to enter the master's program. So you could get a degree, a certificate degree, and then move into the master's comfortably, and that's why we created the certificate. So if you don't have a relevant degree, a degree in computer science, or experience in networking and cybersecurity and certification, industry certification, then you can do the the graduate certificate program and enter into the master's. The certificate program includes 2 courses that are transferable into the master's. So if you do the certificate, you'll only do 8 of the 10 courses in the master's program. And I guess with this introduction to both the graduate certificate and the master's, I pass this back on to Katie and ask her to pass it on to our student panel.
Terrific. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Pouya. Pouya is going to be moderating our student panel discussion for us and also introducing the 3 students who are with us today.
Thank you so much, Katie and Hossein. Hi, everyone. My name is Pouya, and I'm actually from Australia, Melbourne, Australia. Nice meeting you all, e-meeting you all in this webinar. All right, so today we're going to have a sort of a short panel with some of our best students in the program that have been, privileged to have them in my class, the course that I teach, that is Secure Software Design. So we've got 3 students on the panel, and we're going to ask a couple of questions. And we're going to discuss some of probably frequently asked questions that you may all have, and we try to address those. And when it gets to Q&A, you can probably, if you have any other questions, we can cover those. So today with me on the panel, we've got Dominic Sagleman. So Dominic is a cybersecurity defense operation analyst, and he works in M&T Bank in Buffalo, New York. Also, we have Sean Ellis. Sean is a system security engineer, works in information system security as an information system security analyst in Thales in Canada, and he works on defense and security, and he's based in Ottawa in Canada. We also have Mark Robinson. He currently runs a private IT consulting firm. He's got a lot of extensive senior level IT experience working with different companies. Examples are Transcom, Cloud10, and Deloitte Consulting, among other companies. All right. So let's kick it off. Let's kick off the questions. I'll probably start with Sean. Sean, the first question I've got for you is, can you just probably explain a little bit about your role? And also, what are you hoping to get out of the master's degree that you've started, the master's in cybersecurity? And how it can essentially help you to accomplish, your goals in your career.
Okay, thank you, Pouya. I currently work for Thales Defense and Security in Ottawa, as Pouya mentioned. A lot of what I do is security assessment and authorization, trying to figure out what security controls can be applied to systems, but mostly what we call platform systems or systems used in a military context. I realized quite quickly when I took this job that industry is a little bit behind in some of the security areas. So what I'm hoping is to gain enough background that I can assist Thales in providing client products that are as secure as possible. They can't be 100% secure, but as secure as possible. But more importantly, to develop sort of a cybersecurity environment, which means including cybersecurity into the engineering, software development, IV&V, like the validation part of it as well. Ultimately, in the end, I plan to operate at the management level and to be able to guide the executive level on how to navigate through the complexities of cybersecurity.
Yeah, that's great, Sean. Thanks for sharing that. Probably the same question from Mark. I'm just curious to know from all three of you, what do you do and how you think this program can help you? So Mark, what do you think? And what do you do, first of all, and what do you think about this program?
Yeah, sure. And hi, Pouya. I know we just finished your class. It was amazing. I know I emailed you the same thing. This isn't scripted. I didn't realize you were going to be on this call, but your class was really amazing. We learned a lot for sure.
Thank you so much.
To answer your question, what do I do? So I do IT project management from a consultative perspective, strategy, design, things of that nature, all around different IT solutions, whether it's tied to the captive facility or the campus facilities. What do I think about how the master's program in cybersecurity applies to my career? The two aren't necessarily directly proportional right now, but my end game really is to, and it's ironic that Dr. Sarrafzadeh mentioned you work at CyberArk. My end game is to create a cybersecurity firm that has many different tentacles to save, the everyday security-related breaches that are happening day in and day out, but also to have a twist where there's, this regulatory or legislative capability within that firm to, help some of the threats in arenas that aren't that well regulated, like the IoT. So that's really where I look at the cybersecurity master's program is, really to help me understand more in depth kind of to what Sean alluded to and how to help solve some of the problems that we all face and these companies face and our government faces on the threat landscape that's out there today.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, I guess on a side note, I think that's quite important. We all, as members of the society, we have a responsibility, and personally for me, it's quite important, and I'm trying to help my society as much as I can by contributing into the cybersecurity part of which is quite important these days, because everything is online and everything is digital, isn't it? So yeah. So hopefully when you finish your program, maybe we can find you a job in CyberArk. Yeah.
Right on. I'm already an investor, so yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I'll try my best to keep your investments. All right, cool. Thank you so much, Mark. So, Dominic, what's your point of view on this one? Because the first question I want to hear all three of you. The next questions maybe we split it between you three.
Okay, yeah, great. Thanks, Pouya. So I'm in a little bit different situation than these guys. I'm pretty young. I just turned 23, and I actually just got a job in cybersecurity about a month ago with M&T as a cybersecurity operations defense analyst. And honestly, the program has already helped me accomplish, really what I wanted to in my career at the start, which was get my foot in the door into cybersecurity. My undergrad degree was computer science, and I just worked a year of your basic IT, and then started this program, and we're about halfway through, a little more maybe, and it already got me, as an analyst position, in a cybersecurity. And they're just, the great thing about it is they're just craving people. That's why, they already hired me before I even finished, getting my degree. Where I want to go, I'm not sure. I'm learning that there's so many different parts, and I'm actually in a great position right now where I'm kind of getting to do a little bit of everything. And, hopefully time will tell and point me in a direction. Probably the end goal would be somewhere, in leadership or management. I think that I could see myself somewhere like that. But honestly, just being in the program has already gotten me in. I know, this field, they're just craving people. I know we're still trying to hire people. So, if you have maybe a little IT background or something like that, and you're on the fence about the program, it helped me get my job before I even finished. So just something else to keep in mind there.
Yeah, that very, very good point actually on the cybersecurity market. So, actually for attendees on the call, I just wanted to share something really like an experience that we had with the students in the course that I was teaching. So in one of our live sessions, we were talking about like the importance of the course and what we're covering. So one of the exercises we did, we just jumped on LinkedIn. And we searched for some of the keywords that we were covering in the course, and plenty of jobs came up, and that shows there's a massive shortage of skilled people in the cybersecurity, and programs like this, which are very hands-on, very close to the industry, which we're going to talk about curriculum, but can definitely help people that want to move or like change careers, or they want to advance their careers, or they start their careers. Like we have like sort of on the panel, we have people in different journeys in life, and you can see how it helps. Awesome. So Mark, why did you choose San Bonaventure University? What happened? Like, what was your thought process? I'm interested in that.
Sure. Yeah, no, great. So I actually looked at probably 8 different programs or universities. So, North Dakota, I looked at UC Berkeley. I looked at the University of Houston, Western Governors University, a whole slew of different universities. And then we had a session with Dr. Sarrafzadeh, and he introduced us to St. Bonaventure and his vision of where the program's going, what he would like to see, as well as, what's going on from a campus perspective. And it was really intriguing to me. So, after looking at the 8 universities in total, I settled on St. Bonaventure because it felt right to me. I prayed on it, and, here I am. And I think I'm on my 5th course out of, I know everyone says 10, I'm taking 11 courses, so I'm almost halfway done. It's been great. I've learned a lot. And again, I know I've said it before, the way you structured your class was really amazing, and I'm sure Dominique and Sean can attest to it as well. Not only showing us, the market opportunities by doing those keyword searches, but also introducing us to the tools that we would leverage in the market, from doing anything from, a SaaS type of approach or DAS type of approach or a proxy setup. It was just amazing. Learned a whole lot.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, that's great. Actually, I'd like to share my experience from the other side of the fence as well. Like, what was sort of, I can't say surprising, but it was really interesting for me was the level of students that we had in the class and the interaction that we had with everyone. Like all the students that joined, they were really great. Everyone was participating in discussions, very good discussions, very good things came out of it. And I personally learned a lot from the, feedback that you guys were, feedbacking each other on the assignments, on all the activities that we had. And I think one of the important factors for an online course to be successful, or online program to be successful, is student participation. And what I found very effective and very good was the students that are in this program are very most students are very mature in their approach. They know a lot, they've experienced a lot, and they're willing to share that experience with other students. So from the other side of the fence as well, it was very, I really enjoyed, and I am enjoying, working in this program. Thank you so much. So Dominic, got a question for you. So a lot of students have concerns around, like, when they're doing an online course, are you able to connect with the faculty? You know, can you have enough time to interact, or if you have questions? So that's probably one of the concerns that a lot of students have, or also like building, you know, relationships with other students or that are, you know, participating in the program. So what is your take on this? How was your experience so far? How did you find this? Was it easy for you, or, you know, can you just share a little bit with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So this was actually a concern of mine a little bit coming in, and I can tell you that it's been pretty great. It really has not been an issue. The instructors are all pretty good at responding, you know, relatively within 24 hours. So if you have a question, you're going to get that answered pretty quick. There's also like an option in just about all of the classes, I'm pretty sure all of the classes, there's the Ask the Instructor option where you can kind of just go in there and post a question. But the great thing about it is that everyone can see it, that is, in the class. So it's almost better sometimes because some people don't like asking questions in person or like asking questions if you're in a classroom environment, someone raises their hand. You know, some people just don't love to do that. In this regard, you can kind of be behind your keyboard, ask the question, and everyone can kind of chime in and answer the question. It doesn't have to just be the instructor. So you end up kind of getting some great teamwork there from different classmates. They give you their perspective. You know, the instructor usually jumps in and gives an answer as well. So it can almost be better in that regard, connecting with the faculty. It's a pretty well family-oriented environment. I know when I just got my job, even Dr. Hossein personally reached out to me, which I thought was great. It feels like a tight-knit group, and the classes aren't too big. It really, that really was not an issue at all for me personally. So, you know, I thought it was everyone's pretty good at talking to each other, and the instructors are pretty great at answering your question to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, sure. No, exactly. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, like one of the interesting points for me, because of my previous experience of sort of always taught in classroom environments, and some students, they knew each other, and, you know, but the level of interaction in this online program was even much higher than like in a classroom-based environment, which was very interesting and very joyful for me to watch and see. You know, how like every time there was an activity, someone posts something and everyone comments on it, correct, or, you know, or even sometimes just even praising the other person, which is quite good. And one of the things that we do in the courses, I mean, I did in my course, I'm pretty sure the other courses do as well, is we have part of the assessment is based on the group activities and the class activities, and interaction with other students. So that sort of helps as well, I believe. Okay, perfect. So, Sean, let's talk about the curriculum, and how did you find the topics or the courses that you've done so far? And do you think that you've been able to apply that in your day-to-day job, or how does it help?
Thank you, Pouya. Well, so far I found the course to be very challenging. I'm no spring chicken. You know, to be honest, I was terrified to start the program at first. But the content was very well presented, and as well, the success coach, Veronica, was extremely helpful in keeping me, I guess, my feet on the ground and promoting that I can do this. It was easy to tell that the professors put a lot of work to provide high-quality content. Everything that was presented online, it was easy to read, easy to navigate. There's a few glitches, of course, but quickly addressed. The thing I appreciate most about this program is the well-roundedness of the courses. You mentioned that Pouya at the beginning that Hossein had mentioned that we have everything from, you know, just some simple coding, cybersecurity, secure software development, networking, data mining. I think it gives us enough background that we could effectively, I guess, navigate into any particular field of cybersecurity. We may not be experts, but it provides us a path that we can pick and choose, or try to be, I guess, an expert at all of it.
Yeah, great. So I remember we had this discussion. So in terms of what you learned, in the program, how could you apply that in your day-to-day job, or how did it help you to progress your career so far, not even finishing?
Good question. I already, well, ironically, it did match up with your course. Again, I did not know, as Mark had mentioned, I didn't know you were in this webinar, but I was asked by the corporate level to provide feedback on their, their approach for applying cybersecurity to their engineering. And one of them was discussing the tools to do secure software development. And it was very empowering that I could sit in this meeting and actually talk the talk and walk the walk. So I was able to negotiate back and forth which tool would be better than others and provide the pros and cons. That was pretty exciting. A little scary because we just finished the course, but very empowering that I was able to do that.
Yeah, that's great.
Of course.
No, thank you for doing a great job in learning all those concepts. But look, that is the intention. Like one of the things that Dr. Sarrafzadeh talked to me when we were starting, the course that I'm teaching, was trying to keep it as much as close to industry as possible. And as practical as possible, because eventually what we want is after you finish this program, you're ready to go in the industry, and you can, or if you're already in the industry, you can progress further, or you can do something, like deliver projects or work on things that you've never worked on. So it's actually very satisfying to hear that. Thank you so much for that. All right.
Well, just real quick. Sorry, this is Mark. Again, sure. I think kind of to Sean's point, the beauty was you taught us real world, right? It wasn't a bunch of theory. We utilized tools that would be utilized in the market, and you taught us to apply, those learnings into the real world. So I think that's why it was so refreshing, and why Sean did such a wonderful job in presenting to his company, what they could do to solve some of their challenges.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, exactly. Because the thing is, the IT industry as a whole, especially cybersecurity, is moving really, really fast. Yeah. So what they say is in IT, essentially whatever you know today, in 3 years' time, it's invalid. Like things change completely in 3 years. So it's quite important to be up to date. Knowing the tools that are current in the environment, like in the industry, and people use, is quite important, but it's also important to understand the concepts behind it. And that's something that we try to cover. So we try to sort of talk about the concepts, teach you everything that you need to know, and then present you to what industry has to offer and what people are using in industry. So I think that balance is quite important. So I think it's really great. Dominic, do you have any points on that? How did you find, I know you sort of just started your job, but have you seen not only the course that I've taught, the other courses that you've done, have you seen that in practice?
I have, yeah. Actually, what I do most of the day is really analyze logs that are, because I'm a defense analyst, and actually in the current class we're in right now, data mining, we're kind of doing a research paper and doing a lot of research slowly throughout the class, and I chose log analysis. So it's really lining up directly with my training, which could not have worked out any better. So I'm learning things at work as well as outside of work to help my career, which is exactly what I wanted out of the master's program. And, to echo kind of what Sean and Mark said, the program has been great about being hands-on, which was my biggest concern coming in. I haven't met with Dr. Hossein, and that was one of my biggest concerns. It's not like they just give you a multiple choice test like kind of undergrad does sometimes. But I really felt like the hands-on experience, you're actually doing the work that you would be doing at work. So that's something that I wanted to touch on, and I thought that it is lining up directly with what, my career goals are and what I'm doing right now in my career.
Yeah, that's great. Great to hear that. Awesome. So, Mark, I've got another question for you. So, as I understand, you work full-time and you also study online, yeah? So how does it work for you? How do you sort of keep the balance? Is it feasible to do that?
I'll state a piece of scripture. As Apostle Paul told Timothy, endure hardships as a good soldier. So what this master's course has really taught me, outside of all the wonderful things around cybersecurity, is really time management and balancing my time. Often we think we don't have enough hours in the day, but if you manage your time appropriately, you'll find the time and you'll figure out how to get things done more accordingly, more efficiently, more effectively. So it has been a challenge at times, just because the workload is heavy. But I expected nothing less. I mean, if it were easy, then I would be suspect around the program. I have been able to balance my time. I have been able to juggle accordingly. And, there are going to be sacrifices that have to be made. I mean, that's true for anything that's worth having. So, we as students make the sacrifices, and, sometimes we'll pull the long hours, but, it's all worth it. It's really been an enriching and rewarding experience for me. Kind of to Sean's point earlier, I'm not a young chicken either. I've seen many, or a spring chicken, I've seen many springs. But, in doing this course, it's really reinvigorated me. And, I'm starting to think differently. My energy levels have gone up, even though I'm pulling longer hours. And, it's really been an exciting journey so far. So I have no complaints. I think everything that we're doing is worthwhile. It's applicable, and it aligns with what I expected out of the program thus far.
That's great. That's great. All right, thank you so much, guys. I think we sort of covered some of the frequently asked questions that may come up for these courses. Because it's sort of in some students probably have never done like an online course like this or an online program like this. So it's actually good to know, and it's good to see your point of view, because you've been through this and you've done an amazing job so far. And I encourage you to keep up the good work as you've done in the course that we did together. All right, thank you so much. So Katie, I think I'll hand it back to you. If there is any questions that we can answer, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Pouya, and thank you very much to all of our student panelists. This was a wonderful discussion. If there were any things you were wondering about that you wanted to ask, and that you don't feel like were already answered, please, this would be a great opportunity to use the Q&A box on your screen to submit those questions, and we'll try to get to those at the end as well. So with that, we're going to go ahead and move to our next slide on admissions, and I'm going to pass it over to Marcos.
Hello, everyone. And first of all, I want to thank Dominic, Sean, and Mark for partaking in today's webinar. You guys were a pleasure to work with through the admissions process, and I'm glad our program's paying off for you guys. It sounds like, as you stated already, in just participating, not even finishing the program, it's paying dividends. So congrats, guys. I appreciate your feedback so far. Now, outlining the admission steps. Being a master's or graduate program, a bachelor's degree from an accredited institution is required for our program. As Hossein outlined, we no longer require a computer science background due to our new foundational certification program. So we do have options for students looking to break into the industry. Minimum GPA is 2.5 with your undergrad, and that's cumulative. So if you attended multiple institutions, we do require all transcripts. A police clearance is also required due to the sensitive nature of cybersecurity and the information you'll have access to. We just want to ensure there's nothing unethical in your background as it relates. Currently, we're still accepting applications for our next session starting October 21st. Upon completion of this webinar, all attendees we'll receive contact information from myself and my colleague Elizabeth. So don't hesitate to reach out and start the process.
Terrific. All right, thank you, Marcos. With that, we're going to go ahead and move into the Q&A session. So we've got just a little bit of time left for any questions that you might still have. I see a couple have already come in, and then just a reminder to use that box to submit any other questions you might have. So I'm going to go ahead and check for those right now. Let's see. Our first question is, in my jobs, I manage messaging and cloud threats. How much of that is included in the program? I'm going to turn that over to you, Hossein.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. The first question is, in my job currently, I manage messaging and cloud threats. How much of that is included in the program?
Well, the program does not specifically get into cloud. Although we do use cloud in the program, we're currently not teaching cloud or cloud security in the program, except for bits and pieces that relate to offensive and defensive security and enterprise security that cross over to cloud security. We are working on a new course called Cloud Security, and that course is specifically relevant and very helpful to the job that you're doing.
All right, thank you, Hossein. Our next question is actually for the panelists. This person is asking about how much time per week on average they devote to coursework and the program. Maybe I'll go ahead and start that one with Dominic, and then if anyone else wants to chime in additionally, feel free. But I'll start that with you, Dominic, just if you could, I don't know if you feel like you could kind of average about how much time per week you find the program to be.
Yeah, so some weeks obviously are a little heavier than others, and you know, that'll be like that throughout the whole course. If I can ballpark a number, it would probably be somewhere between, I would say, like 6 and 12. Maybe Mark and Sean will have a different answer, just depending on, you know, what we're doing that week, or, you know, how you break it up throughout the week. If you do an hour or two a day and try to look at things and study a little bit, or if you just kind of, you know, bash out the assignments on the weekends. I would probably ballpark between somewhere there. I know it's kind of a big radius, but like I said, some weeks you're going to feel like you haven't done a ton, and then other weeks you're going to feel like you've done a little more. That's just, you know, how school kind of goes. I don't know if Mark or Sean have different answers.
Yeah, for me, you know, I've never looked at it from the perspective of how much time overall per week I need to put in. I really look at it from the perspective of, you know, the workload and what I need to do each day in order to meet our deadlines. Again, this is an asynchronous program, but we have specific deadlines for our deliverables, right? Just like you would in your work sphere. So, you know, I ensure that every day at a minimum, I'm spending at least 2 to 3 hours either reading or doing the work or preparing the work that needs to be turned in at, you know, a set date. So it really varies kind of to what Dominique said. Sometimes our projects are pretty intensive, and some will require coding, some will require quite a bit of research. Others is, you know, more intuitive, intellectual understandings from our backgrounds and things of that nature. So it varies. You're going to spend at a minimum 10 hours per week.
Okay, great. Thank you both so much for your answers on that. Our next question is, what type of financial assistance is available for veterans? I'm going to pass this to you, Elizabeth.
Yes. So we are here to partner with you and help you through the financial aid process, specifically for working with active military members or veterans. We have a specialist in our financial aid department. His name is Frank Morales. So we'll get you in touch with him to see what options might be available to you specifically based on what benefits you may have or be interested in learning more about. And just overall, as far as financial aid goes, we're really here to kind of help you through that process from the beginning to the end. One question that's been coming up a lot lately is if financial aid is eligible for those foundations classes in addition to the rest of the program, and it is. So we'd be happy to partner with you and answer any questions that you have about getting through that financial aid process.
Great. Thank you.
And this is Mark. I'm actually a veteran as well. They do a really good job, they being St. Bonaventure, of looking after us veterans. There's a slew of different programs that are available to help us accordingly. So the whole veteran aspect as it relates to St. Bonaventure and leaning in to support us, they do it for sure. And Frank Morales is a great resource to leverage.
Terrific. Thanks so much, Mark. Our next question is, if I don't have any IT experience, how hard would it be to start in that certificate program? Hossein, would you want to take that one?
Yes, I would love to answer that question because we've done so much work on creating that bridge from someone without experience in IT into a field of cybersecurity. It's easy because we start with teaching you the basics of computing, then we go into computer programming, and then we teach you databases, and then we teach you networks. So it's a mini computer science minors program with courses that are very relevant to the master. So it won't be hard at all. It's probably harder to do the masters with a background in computer science than to do the certificate without any background. Of course, any background, any experience with IT would be very helpful.
Terrific. And actually, on a similar note, we had a second question related to that about the experience level that is. This person says, I don't have experience in objective-oriented programming, and I do not know how to program in Python and Java. Do I need to learn Python and Java before applying to this program? And what level of mathematics would I need?
The programming that's required in the master's program, we cover it in the certificate, and we're going to teach you Python. And we're going to teach you enough to be able to understand the content in the master's program. The level of mathematics, the more the better. You do need to have a mathematical understanding, but that's not a very high level. If you've done a calculus course or even a pre-calculus course, that should get you through. There are courses that require a bit more mathematics, like cryptography, for example. And we are working on, the cryptography course is already very applied, but we're trying to have options where you can take either I'm giving away our secrets, where you can either take the cryptography course or a cloud security course. So we will help you through the program as much as possible, and we'll give you the background you need in programming and IT in the certificate program. I hope that answers your question.
Perfect. All right, so our next question asks, are all of the classes in the certificate program intended to be taken sequentially, or can some be taken in parallel? Hossein, I know you'll be able to answer that as well.
First of all, you don't have to do all the courses in the certificate program. Depending on what your background is, I will go through with Mark, go through your credentials, and we will determine what you need to do. If you have to do the certificate program as a whole, then yes, they're sequential. You will have to do the introductory course, followed by programming, followed by databases, followed by networks, and then introduction to cybersecurity, and ethical hacking and pen testing. But if you do already have knowledge of one or the other, then you won't have to do the courses. But yes, they are sequential.
All right.
And you do them one at a time.
I think that covers that one. And I think pretty much wraps up the time that we have for Q&A questions today. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. We want to thank you all for attending today's webinar. It was wonderful to have you all. It was especially wonderful to have our panelists, Mark, Sean, and Dominic, our team members, Pouya and Hossein. So we want to thank you for attending. We'll be sending out a recording of the webinar following today. And as Marcos mentioned earlier, if you're interested in scheduling time to chat with an advisor about the program or to go ahead and start your application, you want to go ahead and just hang out right here in this window, and we'll leave up a couple of links as we close up the webinar for you to get started with that. So thank you again, and have a great rest of your day.